Christian,
Yeah?
are you ready for your interview?
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to say to everybody watching?
Sup, bruh?
When somebody is meeting you for the first time, what do you want them to know?
That I am just like everybody else, but I have a condition that affects parts of my face, and I am blind.
What is it like to live with this condition?
Good, it's good. It feels cool to be like rarer than anybody else in the world, and like it's very like cool.
When somebody meets you for the first time, what do you hope they do?
I hope they say like, "Hey, nice to meet you. What's your name?"
Do you hope that people always come up and say hi?
Yep.
How do you feel when people come up and say hi?
Good.
If you could share one message with the whole world, what would it be?
Don't let your condition hold you back and just keep on going.
Welcome to SBSK. We believe that everybody has a story that's worthy of being heard. When we listen to one another, the world becomes a closer place, and we all benefit together. So without hesitation, let's meet today's friend.
If somebody wants to come up to you and be your friend, what should they talk about?
Like, how are you? What do you like to do?
What do you like to do?
I like to play Minecraft, Roblox, and Five Nights at Freddy's with my brother.
Christian, are you able to play video games?
Yeah, but obviously I suck.
Tell me about your brother.
He is really cool, even though he's wearing this. And me and him really like to wrestle and fight, and we do like to play games like Minecraft, Roblox, and all the other popular games that these like 2020 kids play nowadays.
Now I gotta ask, you said he's cool even though he's wearing this? I think his outfit's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I guess it's cool, but this is not. Suits aren't really my thing.
How would you describe your brother to the world?
He is not different at all. He is just the same as every other ordinary 15-year-old boy.
Christian, do you feel the same as every other 15-year-old boy?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel sad?
No, not really.
Why not?
Cause I'm really always just happy.
What do you have to be grateful for?
I'm grateful for that I have a house to live in, and I'm grateful to have my family.
Tell me about your mom, Christian.
She's very kind to me and my brother, and she really loves me.
How do you know she really loves you?
Cause like, she kisses me at night and stuff.
How do you feel when she kisses you at night?
Be honest.
Good. Sometimes I just don't like wipe it off.
Yeah, we're at that stage. Yuck.
How old are you now, Christian?
15.
What is it like to be 15 years old?
Good. Even though I really don't want to grow up, like every kid has to grow up at some point. Like every person has to. Like grow up and be an adult, and like I as a joke, I tell mommy like, hey, I'm fixing to be an adult soon, and she's like, don't remind me.
Why don't you want to grow up?
Cause like, it's fun being a kid.
What's the best thing about being a kid?
Like you get to have a lot of fun and stuff. Just like me and my brother do have a lot of fun, for sure.
What is your favorite thing to do with your brother?
Fight, basically.
You guys fight?
Yeah, sometimes, like, we'll just, like, wrestle on the couch, and, like, we'll play this game, like, the first one to push someone off the couch wins, and, like...
Nobody gets hurt in it.
Yeah, no one actually gets hurt. And sometimes, like, I can go up here on the thing, the couch is kind of moved up a little, but sometimes I'll go up on here and I'll just like dive bomb into him. So it's really fun.
You like wrestling, Christian?
Yeah.
Who usually wins these wrestling matches?
Him.
Usually me.
But usually I wouldn't say it's a win. I'd say just like it's kind of a tie. Both are equal, but sometimes like he'll definitely win the fight. I'll tell you that.
Well, what's your strategy to wrestling, Christian, as a blind person?
I like punch at him and like squeeze him. Like I used to do karate and I kind of stopped because COVID. All that. Like, if I had still done karate, I could have beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
So he should feel lucky that you had to stop karate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Christian, is it okay if I ask a few questions about your disability?
Okay.
What is your disability?
My disability is called, Tessier cleft with palate.
What does that mean?
It means like your palate is abnormally shaped. Yeah. So like, I had to have a palate closure when I was 3. Obviously, I don't remember it though. and they had to take me back to the operating room, fix it up, yeah, you know that. And they actually had to break the bridge of my nose.
And we have been told by several different of his doctors that his classification is incredibly rare, and it's so rare that there's not a lot of medical documentation on it to know for sure, but they're estimating that he's one of about 60 total medically documented cases ever of his particular type of cleft.
What is it like to live with this disability?
Good. Yeah. Sometimes, like, when we're at the park and, like, somewhere else, and, like, a kid will go up to me and say, "What happened to you?" And somebody else, or even I will say, "That's how I was just born." And usually they're like, "Oh." Well, there was this one kid at school we went to, and, like, this kid at the playground said, "Why does he look like that?" And Chandler said, "That's how he was born." And he said, "He looks freaky." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" But he did apologize after, so.
What do you think when you hear people say things like that?
I think, like, "Hey, that's not really nice. You can't call me that."
Do you tell them that?
Usually somebody else does, but I'll sometimes step in to help, yeah.
What do you want people to know when they meet you for the first time?
That I am just like everyone else. I just have to do everything a little different.
What are some ways you do things differently?
Well, I can't read like normal print. I have to read Braille, like little dots, coded dots. So yeah, and I'm getting better and better every week. Yeah.
Do you like reading Braille?
Not really. It's not really my favorite thing to do.
As Christian is becoming a young man, what are some of the lessons you're hoping to teach him?
I think the most important thing I'm working to instill in him is confidence in just who he is as a person, regardless of his disability, not in spite of it per se, but just with or without it. He is capable, able to do things that he puts his mind to, that he deserves to be treated well is a big one, just because I have seen over the last 15 years how people with disabilities can be treated in our society, and trying to set those standards for him so that eventually when the advocacy goes from me to him, that he's able to stand up for himself and has good boundaries around how he should be treated, and just medical care, but even just like friendships, this is how a good friend would treat you and this is how they wouldn't, and those types of things. And so I think if I could summarize it, I think the biggest thing would just be confidence in who he is and the way that he deserves to be treated in life, and that if there is something that he wants to do, there we can figure out a way to do it. And his disability, while it certainly limits him in some ways, it's not so limiting that he can't have a meaningful, fulfilling life.
What is your biggest goal for the next year?
That's a good question. To be a better person and have some more independency.
What are some ways that you hope to be more independent?
Like do laundry, do of course use my 3D printer on my own. Yeah.
I've noticed that you like to move back and forth. Can you tell me about why you do that?
Mostly because I also recently got diagnosed with autism.
What did you think when you were diagnosed with autism?
I was like, what the heck? I don't even know I had autism.
What is autism?
It's a condition that affects the way you think and do stuff. Like with uncontrollably doing stuff, like moving around like that. And like sometimes people with autism can't even speak. That's how effective it can be. Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that. I know that autism can affect people in so many different ways. So what does it feel like when you move back and forth?
Real like energetic kind of. I have gotten an interest in 3D printing. We are actually getting a 3D printer today in the mail, and it's a device that lets you make stuff anywhere at home. And you have to use this special material called filament that you put in the printer, and it heats up the filament and melts it into like a gooey, like ink-like substance, and then it sprays out, and the thing that it comes out of moves around to make the shape of what you want to print, and then it cools down and hardens, and then you remove it, and boom, you have an item.
When you are interested in something, do you learn a lot about it?
Oh yeah, I do.
What are some other things you're interested in?
I'm also interested in other pieces of tech, like technology, like CD players, cassette players, voice assistants, robots, and stuff like that. I like robots.
There's a lot of cool robots.
As long as they don't take over the world.
Do you think they might?
Who knows what they're planning?
Tell me about getting Christian diagnosed with autism.
So he's always done stimming and movements and always wanted to be moving. And he's had some learning delays as well that kind of always got brushed aside as well. It's from his vision impairment, and it's from, he spent a lot of time in the hospital, and so that causes kids to be delayed. And it got to the point, he's been in all these therapies for most of his life, and it got to the point where as he got older, it wasn't explaining everything, and so I kept pushing, and we're very close to a very large children's hospital, and so I finally was able to get him into that, and they had to modify the testing just a little bit, but I kind of already knew, but again in my head I'm like, is this vision related or is this autism, because I've never raised a blind kid before. I didn't know for sure, but he certainly checked a lot of the boxes, and so we had the testing done, and it was obvious to them. Like, there was no question. There was like, maybe we can't tell. Even with the modified testing, they were certain, and it's a very reputable testing group that we went to at this children's hospital, and we were I was thankful to just finally get an answer to that to help me understand. It affects just the way that he learns a lot, and the way that he socializes, and so it has helped me to sort of tailor those things for him a little bit better, because I'm giving all these accommodations for vision impairment and things like that, but I wasn't necessarily giving all of the accommodations for autism, because I wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure what was going to be helpful and what wasn't. So it just gave me more information to help him be more successful in everything that we're already doing.
What was it like when you were diagnosed with autism? Did it surprise you?
Yeah, kinda, cause like when she said, okay, he has apparently, okay, your son has been diagnosed. Actually, me and Chandler both are autism, and I have a higher spectrum than him, and me and him were like, really? I thought we were normal. At least I thought I was. I mean, I was moving around a lot and stimming, but still.
What is stimming?
Stimming is like where you like do like shake your hands around and like move your body and like make like noises. Like, no offense, but yeah.
Do you do that often?
Yeah, and Kelly says, stop! And I'm like, I can't help it.
All right, Christian, I'm setting up my camera for our big interview. How are you feeling?
Good.
I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah.
I first met you when you were 4 years old. How old are you now?
15.
What has surprised you the most about becoming a teenager?
Mommy always tells me I sound like a man, cause like, I am getting a bit of a deeper voice. Like, that's normal for all teenagers though.
It is, it's absolutely normal. I can tell that you are becoming a bit of a man with your deeper voice.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I play a video for our audience of you when you were younger?
Sure.
How old are you?
5.
Are you happy or sad?
Happy.
What makes you happy in life?
Laugh.
Want to tell him your pepper joke? That's your favorite, I think.
No,
What does a nosy pepper do, Christian?
how she's no business.
It's jalapeno business. You're so funny.
I haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a few years,
Yeah.
but I'm happy we could do this today.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be here about all of the great things you're doing. Keep it up.
Yeah.
As Christian has gotten older, do you two have conversations about what surgeries or medical interventions he wants to have?
Now that he's this age, I let him, have input, because some of the surgeries that have been offered have been not exactly cosmetic, but borderline cosmetic at times. And I always want to be really careful about his surgeries, because I never want to send him the message. If we're doing something cosmetic, I want it to be because it's what he wants, and not because somebody else, like a stranger, could be more comfortable around him. And so I have been asked a million times, why did we not get Christian prosthetic eyes? And there's a myriad of reasons, and one of those is because we've been told several times that the deficits to his orbital bones are so great that he could never hold a prosthetic anyway. They could attempt it, but there's no telling if it would even work. So that was one issue. But as Christian got older and we talked about it, he wasn't interested in that. And I didn't want to send him the message that you need prosthetic eyes so people will be kinder to you, or so that people will want to be around you. I just didn't feel like that was a message that I needed to send him when I'm sitting. I didn't feel like I could be congruent in saying you are perfect exactly how you are, and you are not a mistake, and everything about you is wonderful, but also we need to dramatically change how you look so other people will be comfortable. I don't ever want him to carry the burden that other people might be uncomfortable around his disability, because that has nothing to, we all know if we live this every day, and I'm sure you do too, being around so many people, it's nothing to do with him. It has to do with them, and maybe not having been around people with disabilities, or not understanding it, and that's not his to carry. And so I always want him to know that if somebody feels that way, they need to work that out within themselves, and that's not something he needs to adjust or do or fix within him to make somebody else more comfortable.
If somebody wants to be a good friend to a blind person, what should they do?
Say, hi, how are you?
If somebody wants to be a good friend to an autistic person, what should they do?
Kind of the same.
Just say, hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing? What's your name? They could ask me, what do you like to do for a living? And I watch TV and do my stuff. And my least favorite thing to do is my schoolwork.
Oh no, you gotta do schoolwork?
Yeah.
What do you think when you gotta do your schoolwork?
I think oh gosh, please no.
Did you ever try to get out of it?
sometimes I try and get out of it, but sometimes I'll just like, I'll just suck it up, and and I'll be like, you know what, fine. Just suck it up and do it.
You know, schoolwork isn't always fun. But I think we have to respect the fact that it's probably making us smarter and good for us.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite class?
One of my favorites is science.
Why do you like science?
Because it's like really, really interesting. We're recently reading about physical science and like we recently learned about the lithosphere, and it's about where earthquakes come from. Like deep underground, the mantle, the crust, the outer core, the inner core of the earth. And, well, yeah, people have dug and dug, and nobody has dug through the mantle yet.
What do you think it would be like to dig through the mantle?
Like, really, really, really cool to see, like, finally discover the real truth of what is like the inside of the earth.
Do you think about stuff like that a lot?
No.
What about the universe with all the planets in the solar system?
Ooh, space, I don't really like space because, like, I'm not 3 years old. That was a joke, by the way.
I was laughing. I was trying to hide it, but I was laughing.
Cause like, that's a really common thing, like, a lot of toddlers like space. Like, they're always saying, like, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. Yeah.
But Christian, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up.
Yeah.
Do you think I can do it?
Probably, but probably not.
I'm only 37. I still have like half my life left.
Yeah. Oh, and like, also like, space is kinda interesting. Like, who knows how big space actually is? What if it's infinite?
That's what they say. What I really want to know is there any other intelligent life out there? What do you think?
Ooh. I kinda had to say yes, because like, there is a lot of evidence that we have. Like mysterious sounds recorded and mysterious radio signals that there could actually be alien life living in a faraway galaxy, like millions and trigentillions of light years away.
When I hear people
Like
say...
millions of miles away.
And that's the thing. When I hear people say that space is infinite, it's hard to really comprehend something being infinite, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't even know if the human brain can really comprehend.
Yeah, well, at least we know the ocean's not infinite.
No, it's not, but it's pretty deep, and a lot of it has been left unexplored. I wonder what kind of species are down there on our own Earth.
Maybe like mermaids.
Maybe.
Or mermen.
Maybe there's mermaids and mermen down there having a great old time we don't even know about.
Yeah. Well, obviously mermaids aren't real, but, or are they?
I have to ask you, if we're talking about mermaids, what about Bigfoot?
He could be... I don't really believe in Sasquatches, but he could actually be real.
I want to believe, because it's so fascinating.
Like, there has been evidence, and I mean evidence. There's like evidence.
What's the
of
evidence?
it being,
I want to hear the evidence.
like, there has been like gigantic shadows, paw prints, and who knows, they could be bears. Or something else.
It could be something else. Now, when you're researching these topics, how do you discover your information? Do you go on YouTube and listen to videos?
Not really, but Chandler has been getting into Bigfoot recently, for some reason.
So will he, like, learn some stuff about it and then come to you and tell you?
No, I kind of just, like, eavesdrop and listen to what he's watching. My brother is always pulling pranks on me, and he's doing it so much that I am not falling for them anymore. Like, he'll play, like, come closer on his phone, and I'm like, enough, dude, I know it's you.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, and sometimes I can hijack the TV from my phone, so sometimes I'll like just like play like a scary video while he's just watching a random video all of a sudden. And so yeah.
What are some things when Christian was first born that they told you? What are some that came into fruition, and what are some that didn't happen at all?
So when he was born, one side of his brain was like, they said atrophied and one side was hypertrophied. So one side was kind of large and one side was kind of small. And I think it really had to do with like the position that he had to grow in. And so they were like, oh, this is signature intellectual disability, intellectual delay. You know, he may never talk, he may never walk, all these things. And as he got older, we're learning very much about the neuroplasticity of very young brains. And as he got older, and was no longer in my womb and constricted the way he was in my womb, it like evened out. And so now his brain is proportional on both sides as far as we know, at least pretty closely. And as he got older, of course, he still had all these delays, right? He didn't start sitting up until about 12 months. He didn't walk until he was almost 3. He didn't talk in conversation until he was close to 8. He wasn't fully potty trained until closer to 9, at least daytime potty training and things like that. And so, he still had all these delays, and I was still always so unsure, like, is this, intellectual disability? Is this, something else? And so we finally figured out, well, no, that was autism, and he's got a perfectly normal IQ. So there's none of that, but we were prepared for a very severe intellectual disability. When, as he got older and we, came to realize that wasn't the case. So that was one thing that we were very much prepared for. We were also it was more insinuated than said directly, but it was very much insinuated that his quality of life would be very poor. And, for me as a very young first-time mom, it was like over my dead body, and also it shifted my perspective on like, what is a good quality of life? There are people who would say, well, I would never want to be blind. And I mean, granted, I'm not saying it's like the easiest thing in the world, but it does not take away a good quality of life. Certainly. And I've learned that over time. And I have worked really hard to just ensure that he has a good quality of life. And I think a lot of that comes from the inside out, right? It's your perspective too. And so, those two things were the ones that hit me the hardest, I think, when he was born, because as a mom, you want your kid to be able to like prosper and grow up and, chase their dreams and do all these things and have a good quality of life. And those were kind of dashed very early for me, and kind of gave me a resolve that like, no, we're going to make it happen. We're going to do what we can do. Whatever his quality of life looks like, we're going to make it as good as it can be.
If you became president of the whole country, what law would you make first?
No school.
Ever?
Just learn on the internet.
What could go wrong?
Learn stuff on the internet.
I like this idea. No more school. We'll all just learn on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now I want you to imagine this. We make that a law, and 20 years goes by. Do you think the world is more educated or less educated?
Probably less.
What kind of impacts do you think that law might have?
Like, we could, like, start, like, going back to that, like, the years could start going down.
We're back to the Stone Age again?
Yeah. Like, the years can, like, another few years can go back to 2020, another few can go back to 1980, and then another 100 can go back to the 1600s, and then they would all, like, talk, like, old English grammar, like thy, thou, thee.
Thou is correct. If you could go back to any period in time, or any event, where would you go?
I don't want to go to the dinosaurs, because that is dangerous. I would probably like to go to the 90s.
What would you do in the 90s?
Hang out like all the 90s kids and jamming to the Backstreet Boys for some reason. Like, hang out with the boys and, like, go into an ice going to a roller skating rink. Because those were everywhere in the 90s. And like go in there and see a lot of girls jamming to the Backstreets for some reason.
Oh, the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, and Chandler had been jamming to the Beach Boys lately.
I like the Beach Boys.
I don't really.
What's some of the music you like?
I kind of like them all, but I really like classical music. It's just so like, there's something about classical music that makes it so classical.
I agree. It's very, well, depending on what you listen to, the type I like is very calming. Puts me in a peaceful...
And Chandler, like, he, for some reason, like this old, like, 1940s music, who listens to that stuff anymore?
What about, like, Frank Sinatra?
He does make Christmas songs. That's I know.
I like Frank Sinatra. Alright, but I have to tell you, you were talking about the 90s and roller skate rinks. The 90s is when I grew up, and we would go to these school events where all your classmates would go to the roller rinks and you would go and they would play slow songs and you would hope the girl that you crushed on when you were really young would skate with you. It was a really funny time. But those were big things. You're not joking. Everybody used to roller skate back then.
Yeah. 90s, aka roller skate decade.
Have you ever roller skated?
Yeah, but it is hard work. Like, I have to grab, like, there's like walls on the roller skating rink that is really helpful for me because I can grab onto them and push off. And like push with my hands.
Tell me about some of the things you do to accommodate Christian since he is blind.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Just some ways you help him out, maybe navigating around the house or getting around places in public.
Sometimes, like, whenever he, like, is about to bump into something, I'll, like, go, like, run towards him and just, like, kind of, like, turn him the other way so he doesn't, like, because sometimes we'll, like, just be walking somewhere and, like, he'll almost smash into a brick wall and I'll just, like, run over there and just, like, turn him the other way and, like, kind of just stop him before he hurts himself.
Christian, do you like the help?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes do you prefer to do things independently?
Yeah. I do like it, though. Yeah.
When you are getting around out in public, Christian, do you use a cane?
Yeah. Not always, but yeah, I do.
Tell me about the situations where you need a cane. Why do you use it sometimes?
That's a great question. I use it to, like, find my way. So, like, if I'm rolling my cane across the sidewalk, and when you get to a door, it will bump into the door, and I know we're at the door, and I can open it easy. So, like, well, and apparently Mommy told me that there is this new type of cane, one that I don't even know has come out yet or not, but it's like a robot cane that moves by itself, and you hold onto the handle, and then basically you have to follow it. And his name is Glide.
Do you want to try it?
When it gets released, heck yeah, but I think it'll probably be extraordinarily expensive. Tech for blind people are always so expensive, and I do not know why.
Have you two researched the technology with self-driving cars? Is that something that maybe one day Christian could use?
He's super interested in vehicles and technology in general. We actually rented a Tesla for his birthday and drove around for the weekend just because he loves them.
Yeah, and it was sick.
Yeah, and so it's very, that's the kind of stuff that, like, the technology is not exactly there yet, you know, but it's getting there and it's promising. And so, you know, those are things that we are hopeful will be incredibly useful in the future, because we live in a rural area. There's not public transit here, and Ubers are just financially burdensome if you live, you know, any ways out and things like that. So, you know, it's one of those things where we just kind of watch it, and we're realistic. We realize that it may never be, you know, perfect, and I have some apprehensions about it too because it's got some issues. But we always watch all of that technology,
and
to see what might help him in the future.
Yeah, and because like as a blind person, like blind people cannot drive.
No, probably not safe.
Yeah.
I have let Christian sit in my lap and drive circles around our driveway though. So,
yeah.
I've always said if you ever want, we'll find a field or an empty parking lot and let you try it, but so even then, there's things it's like, well, he can't drive on the road, but if you wanted to experience driving in a car, then we can make it happen.
If you had one wish, could be anything in the world, what would you wish for?
I wish for like I wish to actually see and for $1 million.
What would you spend the $1 million on?
God, the things like fancy car, fancy house, 1 year vacation to Hawaii. No, more like Alaska.
Why Alaska?
'Cause it's cold and I like the cold. Hawaii's hot.
You said that your first wish would be to see. Is that something you think about often?
No, not really.
If that wish did come true, what would you look at first?
I'd look at myself in the mirror
Why would you choose that first?
to see what I look like. And then I look at mommy, and then I look at Chandler, and then I look at the window, and then I look at, and et cetera, et cetera.
Do you often wonder what your family looks like?
Nope.
You said that it's your goal to go to college, Christian?
Yep.
Have you thought about what you might want to study?
Technology, and I'd like to be like a scientist or a technologist or a doctor, or I thought about being an airplane pilot, then I was like, nah, that's not a really good idea, because I like crashing.
And he's talked about sound engineering as well. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
He's very science, engineering, technology. He's very astute in all of those areas. He's got the brain for it.
What about food? Are you a big foodie?
No, I don't eat my mouth, and we're getting there. We're getting there. So, and I've been trying yogurt lately with my feeding therapist, and it's not all that bad, but ain't my favorite. And I'm drinking milk, and that's my Pediasure milk, and I am having a feeding tube.
Have you used a feeding tube throughout your life?
Yep, I have one right now.
What is it like to be trying food by mouth?
Interesting to try new textures, and some of them I'm like, bleh. Like some of them are way too sour, and some of them are too salty.
Are you in any other therapies?
Physical therapies.
What are you learning there?
Exercising.
That's important for both your mind and body.
And I used to go to speech therapy because, like mommy said, I didn't really have conversations when I was 8 or 9.
How did speech therapy help you learn to have conversations?
Speech therapy really, really helped. Pronounce things better. And I do pronounce things better, way better than back then, don't I?
When I first met you, compared to now, you made so much progress with your speech, and I know you worked really hard.
Yeah. And I'm, really using bigger words. For example, I have a college degree. Degree is kind of a big word for kids.
That is really good. Did you have to work hard to learn that word?
No, not really. I just started pronouncing stuff better and better.
everybody always asks was like, what was your reaction the first time you saw him? And I genuinely want people to understand, I saw my child. I didn't see a disability. I mean, it was obviously there, but the love of a mother is so consuming. I mean, it's just...
And there's a dog barking.
I know, I hear the dog. And so, you know, first and foremost, he is my child over everything else. And that disability has a zero effect on that. It doesn't, you know, if anything, it drove me harder to be a good mom for him and to give him the world, because so many things had been taken from him. And that's what I know not everybody's going to see him the way that I do, because I'm his mom, and I don't think anybody can ever love you like your mama, but I want the world to see him for who he is. And I can do it so naturally and immediately as his mom. He has so many things to offer the world. Not just in spite of his disability, but sometimes because of it, because he has this perspective that other people don't get. He's had to grow up with this his whole life and had to go through things that other kids have never had to go through, and that's character building in a way. And we've always tried to, you know, make the lemonade out of the lemons with it when we could. And not that it's not been hard. It's definitely been hard, but we've tried to let that shape us and refine us in ways that I hope have made all of us better people. And I just want people to look and see Christian.
If there's a parent out there whose child is blind, what advice do you have for the parent?
Tell your child what's going on around them if anything is happening in the world, and they'll know.
Thanks for watching SBSK. Click subscribe here to be part of our community. Then hit the notification bell below so you never miss a story. You can even meet another friend here. See you next time.